attachment is this an invisible thing. And in the field of psychology, we call it a bond. And it links us so powerfully to another that we have us, the other, and then the relationship.
Mm,
And this is why people have broken hearts. There's something called stress cardiomyopathy, where the actual heartache and sadness and physical and emotional separation from their loved one causes the heart to really stress and work hard.
mm.
And people can die from this broken heart. You can die from it.
Wow.
Uh, and so
God.
this is a very, very real physical and emotional experience. And, you know, it, people kind of do a hierarchy. Well, if you're married a long time, that's such a loss. And, well, if you're not married, but you're together, that's still, they kind of typify what's considered
Mm.
or what's appropriate for a heartbreak, for a breakup.
Right.
And I'm always amazed that people have this criteria because that attachment really is a timeless thing. Of course, if you're with somebody a long time, there's history there. But that powerful bond you create with another who you love is so powerful. And it doesn't have to, it's timeless actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's a very painful experience. And I
Mm.
don't think it gets enough respect, as I said
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. Well, as I said, like obviously, the typical time of grieving, like you said, and I don't like I don't know if like you said, there is no one size fits all, but in my case, I would have loved to have like really processed it, for about a year and then moved on. And what I didn't realize was at the time I was doing things to prolong the grief, like drinking
Oh,
or
like,
doing things to like numb it. And then what I realized
mhm.
is that all it does is that it pushes the processing back. That's what it did for me. And since then, I've gone through a breakup, which definitely was nothing. This has been as hard as that breakup, but
Mm, mm.
I had went through a breakup kind of in the last couple 2 years, and it was a very somatic experience. I was having a lot of physical symptoms, and what was interesting about it was that I deliberately didn't drink. I was like, no drinking. You're going to process this. You're going to chew it up. And I didn't drink for 2 weeks, and I just felt everything, and it was really intense, but I moved
Wow.
through it so much quicker because I was like, "I do not want this man to steal any more of my time. I wanna
Oh, good
move
for you.
on." Yeah, I wanna move on. I wanna, like, get well and then be like, get back out there. And it was a lot easier because I literally was thinking that you've got to chew on these emotions, and if you push them away,
Definitely.
you're
Mhm.
gonna you're gonna have to go through it. It's like that story, the bear hunt story. Did you hear of that? So there's
No,
this
what?
there's this book in Australia. It's called Going on a Bear Hunt, and the whole thing is you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you can't go under it. You've got to go through it.
Through it.
And that's why I always think about that book and like anything hard, you're like, well, that you're just prolonging it. Like sitting on like drinking for me was just like sitting on the bank and then waiting
Right.
instead of just going through it and, swimming with the tide.
Right, and
Or
that's what trauma and grief does. It waits. It has to be processed. It has to be metabolized. So it'll wait for you. It will wait while you do all of these distracting things. And very similar to people that I work with, patients that I work with, breakup, divorce, separation, whatever it is, one of the really important parts of structure is no dating, no substance use, very similar to what you're talking about. You're going to come in here every week and we're going to talk about how this feels, what this means,
mm,
what you want to do with it, all those layered textures. And some people do it. Therapy is a very brave, courageous, not an easy journey sometimes.
mhm,
Um, but it's also okay. I would want to make a soft landing for some listeners that it's also okay if you find yourself drinking or distracting yourself with, dating or some substance use. Just see if you can get back to, the authentic experience, because it's not always so easy.
Mm.
There are some people who can, ride through the storm no problem, and then there are others that are like, "Yeah, I think I need a little, a little rest stop here." Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've had the experience of people I know really avoiding talking about it, like having a real hard time with that. What like what do you think that comes from? Like what is that?
Well, that I'm not ready to talk, or I don't wanna go there yet. Very common things I hear, um, sometimes outside of the office, neighbors, friends, and, that experience I meet a little differently than when I'm working from a clinical stance, but that's always a part of maybe a person not ready to be vulnerable in front of you, not ready to feel or think or experience or face whatever those difficult, painful feelings are. Um, Grieving is a very private thing.
Mm,
And if you're lucky to have loved ones that look out for you, friends that check in on you, they want to know you're okay. And they may want to know you're okay by you talking about it. But the converse thing is that you may say, I don't want to, I don't want to open this up in front of you. Um, so the question I always suggest people say is, is it that you just don't want to talk about it right now? Or is that you just don't want to talk about it because it's too difficult? And sometimes that helps a person say, I definitely don't want to talk about it right now because it's difficult. Or I definitely don't want to talk about it right now, but you know, I could catch up with you at a later time and talk about it.
mhm,
Uh, but for the most part, it's we need to be respectful of somebody else's level of pain.
mhm,
And not everybody processes things in that timely way. Um, so it really does need to be a unique decision. But if you find somebody constantly shutting you down, I would worry as a friend or a loved one saying, okay, well, if you're not talking to me, or what are you doing with these feelings? How are you dealing with these feelings?
mm,
Sometimes people may tell you, I got it. I'm journaling, or
right.
I just don't want to think about it. Not, I can't do anything with it right now. Okay. All right.
Mm,
But I'm going to check in again.
right, yeah.
May not like it, but I'm going to check in again.